So a combination of those three things, the top line, the revenue is going to be going up, the amount of money that we're spending on diesel significantly lower, and our tax charge is lower. A combination of those is going to be taking us to profitability. So we are in a position now where some capacity that could be used is not being used because we've got oversupply.
What about those who are saying, this is just for elections? After elections, we are going to go back to load shedding again.
Yeah.
This episode of ITWeb TV is brought to you in association with ITWeb Security Summit, the must-attend gathering of IT, security, and business decision makers. Visit itweb.co.za for more information. Welcome to another episode of ITWeb TV. Today we are joined by an industry titan who is former Microsoft South Africa MD, former MTN South Africa MD, former Outron CEO, who is now chairperson of consultancy firm Business Systems Group and also chairman of Eskom. He is also a published writer of the best-selling book, Betting on a Darkie. Welcome to ITWeb TV, Mteto.
Oh, Admire, thank you so much. Great. Thank you for that introduction. Yes.
Hi, I'm George Little, and I'm co-lead of Brunswick Group's cybersecurity and privacy practice. I'm based in Washington, D.C., and I'm so looking forward to being a keynote speaker at the forthcoming ITWeb Security Summit in Cape Town. Catch me on May 28th. We're going to be discussing some fascinating topics like the overall cyber threat landscape in 2024 and 25. We'll be talking about misinformation and disinformation. We'll be talking about where companies get it wrong in cyber defense and what steps your organization should take to prepare for emerging threats. This should be a fascinating conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Cape Town.
Thanks so much, Mteto, for coming to our studios. I know you've got a very hectic schedule. I just saw that you won this title recently, where you won Business Leader of the Year award. If you can just tell us more about this award.
Yeah, so there is an organization called Future Leaders Forum, where they've got around about 300 business leaders that are part of this organization. And this organization then, each and every year, they ask people to nominate from the members, nominate in line with certain categories of people. And that I got nominated and also got these members to vote, and I got most of the vote when it came to the business leader of the year. Something that honestly I was truly humbled to be chosen like that, but I think it's largely influenced by the role that I'm playing currently in Eskom. Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of leadership, Mteto, you have been a leader in several organizations that I've mentioned when I was introducing you.
Yes.
If you can just tell us more about your leadership style and how successful has it been over the years?
Yes. Maybe the starting point for me would be I'm trained as an engineer, and I'm mentioning this because it is key part of how I lead. I try to make sure that I am someone that is self-aware, meaning I go to areas that talk to my capabilities. You know, I get attracted largely by fixing things. As an engineer, it's driven based from that engineering background, and so I go into areas that talk to that. But at the core of it, I always try to surround myself with the best people. So I'm quite fortunate that one is able to attract people, talent, people who really like to work with me. And that's great in an environment where you are competing for talent. And when people on their own would like to work for you, and it's largely because I stretch people. I give them very, very tough goals, but I don't micromanage them. I create an environment where they go and apply their own minds and come up with solutions. What I try and do is to see how I can remove any blockages in the way of them achieving their goals. And in that process, you create an environment, knowing that they're not going to be blamed or that their heads are not going to be chopped off if they make some big mistake, Yeah, so that's really how I do things. I am somebody that always have a point of view.
Yes.
I have a point of view, but I listen, and if somebody has got something better than what I thought, I allow people to go ahead, but I always have a point of view. I try to lead by example. The things that I ask my team to do, I should also demonstrate that I can do them myself as well. When it comes to if we're in sales, I'll go and engage the sales people and try and sell for them, deliver with them, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Last year, Mteto, we spoke when you bought a controlling stake in BSG.
Yes.
How has the business been doing since you bought that controlling stake to become chairperson of BSG?
Yes. Yeah, BSG is such an interesting organization. We are 27 years old now. And when I bought into BSG, they were 25 years. And the key areas of focus for that business at that time was in financial services. That's banks and insurance. Most of their clients were in that space. One of the things that attracted me is how much the customers of BSG really, really were taking care of BSG. They've been with BSG for a long, long time. So they enjoyed, they loved the service that they were getting from BSG. But what I wondered, as I was discussing with the founder, Greg, said, why can't we also, you guys who go and serve other markets, other industries? And that's where the opportunity came. Said, okay, be part of us, invest, and let's help grow this business beyond financial services. So what you can see now, we've got presence in telco and media. A number of companies in the mobile space are our customers. Companies in the media space, new companies, mining, those are others, and also industrial companies. And it talks to the value of what we're bringing to the party, which is we help companies implement their strategy. This is probably the biggest weakness that we're finding in South Africa,
yes.
The ability to execute. People have great ideas, but translating that into reality is a problem. And this is what BSG does and does well in partnership with the client. And so yeah, we're doing very well. Thank you.
Awesome. The other thing that just came to my mind now, you went to Outron.
Yes.
It was not doing that well.
Yes.
It was largely a family-controlled business. Then you came in.
Yes.
I remember you introduced Outron 2. Is it?
We started with one Outron. Yes. The first strategy that we had was one Outron. After implementing that for 3 years, we then came up with, after 3 years, Outron 2.0.
Yes. Then from then, we started to see Outron making profits and so forth.
Yes.
You managed to dispose of maybe some non-core businesses.
Yes.
Basically, you managed to fix Outron.
Yes.
Now you're at Eskom.
Yes.
Now we have had several days of no load shedding.
Yeah, it's 51 days.
Yes. How are you? How do you do that? Fixing things.
I think the first thing is that engineering background that I was talking to you about. One needs to be able to identify the areas where, by using minimum effort, you can have maximum result. I call those areas of leverage. Just by pulling here, it will end up having huge amount of results. And so that's the first thing. But the other thing that one needs to do is you need to diagnose the problem well. What is the problem? And people can sometimes, focus on symptoms, on chasing this and chasing that. Yes, you solve that little thing, but it does not help address the big problem, So one of the challenges that we faced within Altron was the fact that we had all of these entities that they were having, but these entities were not showing up as one company in front of their clients. In fact, in some cases, these companies were competing with one another. Okay. So we then came up, we said, okay, the problem is, let us pull together and show one, become one-stop shop to our clients, hence the One Altron. So it may look like a simple strategy, a simple concept, but it was addressing a big challenge because culturally, these organizations needed to be able to work well together, collaboration, something that was not there. So we had to talk to that. We have to look at the values of the company to enable this. When you look at how you reward the leaders, you must reward them for collaborating, for working together, So those are the elements. When it comes to a company like Eskom, again, you have to take a step back. You cannot just go and jump right in and say, okay, this is how I'm going to fix it. No, we took the time. As the new board, we took the time. We invited the power station general managers. We listened to them. We listen and listen. Out of that, you then start to see the trends, starting to see the patterns, starting to see, okay, the systemic issues that are facing this business is X, Y, and Z. So out of that, then we came up with this thing called the Generation Recovery Plan. And it's at the core of that plan. Now it looks simple, but at the core of that is we found that there were power stations that were doing well.
Okay.
So it's okay. Let's make sure that these power stations continue to do well. So it was a maintain strategy there. Then we then looked and found, okay, there are these power stations that are contributing 70% of the problems that we're facing is coming from these 6 power stations. So a big problem now it becomes, okay, just focus on those 6. If you focus on those 6, you'll solve 70% of the problem. It becomes manageable, right? Then, okay, the other thing is let's make sure that each and every power station is being led by somebody who knows what they are doing. Leadership. For me, leadership matters, So those were the 3 simple things that we put together. But of course, at the back of that, how do you now go and fix the 6 power stations? You then go and look at your planned maintenance. Let me schedule maintenance. Do I have the funds to be able to implement this maintenance? If you do not, let's create the budget that will allow us to do what we're planning to do. Then the next question, do we have the people that will be able to fix these machines when we take them for maintenance? We realize, no, we don't have all of the people that we need. Right, let's go and have discussions with the original equipment manufacturers so that they can partner with us in executing this. And then you create that environment. Then you say, okay, do we have the incentives? What will motivate our employees to do this thing?
Yes.
We realize that all of the incentives have been removed, have been taken away by government because the company was not performing. Okay, as a new board, let's go and negotiate with government. Say, no, we need these incentives because we need to make sure that the behavior of employees of Eskom is a behavior that's consistent with what we're trying to do. To motivate them to do that, you need the incentives. Then you'll have the tough conversations with government and then they approve that.
Okay.
Right? Do we have the right leader at the top? Because that's another problem. You may have all of these plans, but you don't have the right leaders. So we have acting people all over the show. Okay, let's make sure that we have the right leader that is leading generation.
Okay.
It must be somebody that understands this environment, somebody when they are getting information from the ground, they'll be able to pick up that, no, this is nonsense, what I'm being told now. Instead of, oh, okay, this is what they're saying, and then you push it up to the board because you have no clue yourself.
Yes.
So you need people that understand that environment. So we had to appoint Bek Nxumalo as the new group executive for generation to drive the strategy for us. Then we also made sure that, okay, as much as we trust management, I'm sure you have heard of Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States. He used to say, trust, but verify.
Okay.
I like that. Yes, create the trust your people, they're going to do it, but you need to check from time to time, are they doing what they said they're going to do? So we hired a consulting firm called WSP, and that their role was to first look at the plan itself, stress test that plan, and then sit in the meetings in the power stations, observe, pick up if there are issues, highlight things as they are emerging, to make sure that we get early warning signals as the board so that we can support the teams on the ground quite effectively. So those were the elements that we put together, but all of them coming from a very simple plan of maintain what's working well, fix what's not working, but not try and boil the ocean, focus only on those 6 power stations, move the resources to there. Make sure that you've got people that are able to fix the machines. If you do not have, partner with the original equipment manufacturers. Fund this to make sure that people can be able to go and buy the spares that they need. And make sure that you've got the right leader that is driving this. That leader, a leader that can hold the various people on the ground accountable. So it looks simple, but that's how we address it.
Yeah, well done on that.
Yeah.
What about those who are saying, this is just for elections? After elections, we are going to go back to load shedding again.
Yeah, but you really do need to look at what has happened, because data does not lie. We always encourage people to look at the data. We publish the data on our website. They can go and interrogate it themselves. So, for example, if you look at the amount of planned maintenance that we did last year. By last year, I'm talking about the financial year.
Yes.
From April to March, end of March this year. The planned maintenance that we did for that 1 year is more than the maintenance that they've done over the last 3 years. A significant amount of maintenance that was done. Okay. In order to do that, because we are taking machines away, which means you don't have capacity to meet the demand. This is where we ended up using a lot of diesel.
Okay.
We call it OCGTs, open cycle gas turbines, to minimize the impact of load shedding on South Africa, whilst we make sure that we do the maintenance. So those numbers you would see. So our budget, we planned to have a budget of 30 billion just for diesel.
Okay.
That is a huge amount of money you're spending on diesel, but it was a necessary investment to help us to get the capacity to do the planned maintenance that's going to be a long-term solution to the problem. Then you look at this now, the current financial year starting with 1st of February and 1st of April. Our budget is less than half. The budget for the diesel is less than half of last year. It's reflecting what? It's reflecting that we no longer have to be doing this aggressive maintenance like we did last year. Okay. The load factor, how much we load these open cycle gas turbines. Last year, actuals, 19.6%. That was how much we were using that open cycle gas turbine. This year, 9%. That's the budget. We've budgeted to do it at 9%. Currently, actuals, 6.3%. So even way below the budget, So the numbers, they don't lie. So if you look at this, we're not using diesel. We've done proper maintenance. Now that we've brought back all of those equipment back now online, we were able to reach an energy availability factor of 70%.
Okay.
70%, Admire. We had planned that 2-year plan that we approved last year, that we said that by the 1st of April this year, of 2024, our EAF should be 65%.
Okay.
Then the 1st of April next year, EAF should be 70%.
Okay.
We did not achieve the 65% this year. We only achieved 61. But we're coming from where? 51.
Okay.
Huge, and we missed. But a month later, 1st of May, we were already at 66% EAF.
Okay.
Right? Then, last week, we achieved a target that we had planned for next year, 70%.
Okay.
So that is a big deal,
So does it mean until next year we won't be having?
Very likely, because what does that mean? Because now you are looking at the number 70%. What does that mean really? What it means is that the available capacity that we have in Eskom, like yesterday, the available capacity was 32,000 megawatts.
Okay.
32,000 megawatts. The demand yesterday was 28,000 megawatts.
Okay.
You can see the gap.
There's a surplus.
Huge surplus. And that's a problem. It's the same problem like you are having when you do not have enough supply.
Okay.
Then you have to do something. The grid, you have to always balance those two. So what you do, you switch them off. We put them on what is called cold reserve. You switch them off so that you can align. So we are in a position now where some capacity that could be used is not being used because we've got oversupply. Which is a good position to be in. More especially going into winter. We're going into winter with all of this. 32, that's what I said, is the capacity that we have. What is the maximum demand that we foresee for winter? 32.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
Maximum demand already is equal to the capacity that is available right now. So to me, that means is that the probability of us having to do load shedding in this winter coming is highly, highly unlikely. Yeah.
Okay.
But we are not there. You remember I said it's a 2-year plan.
Yes.
We have just finished 1 year. We need to continue to do what we were doing last year for the remainder of this financial year. Then when we get there, I can tell you for sure that load shedding is something that is behind us.
A thing of the past.
Yes.
Then I think yesterday, thanks a lot, Mteto, the electricity regulation bill was passed whereby Eskom will be unbundled into 3 units.
Yes.
Generation, transmission.
Yes.
I'm forgetting.
Generation, distribution, and transmission.
Yes. Yeah. So what does that mean to South Africa's energy situation?
It's actually a really, really good development that has happened there. And it's something that we should, as a country, have done a long time ago. But we should be happy that it's happening. It's happening right now. It is happening now. Many other countries, developed countries, they have long done this separation of these entities. So what does it mean? Let's start with the transmission company.
Okay.
The National Transmission Company of South Africa. We have just announced, I think it was in January this year, a board. We've set up a board that is going to be managing this entity.
Okay.
Board that is highly, really capable individuals that have been put there. What will be the responsibility of this entity? This entity is really about buying and selling electricity.
Okay.
They don't care. If Eskom does not have the electricity that they're looking for, meaning generation,
Yes.
they will buy from whoever. So they are not limited that you will only buy from Eskom. So if there are independent power producers out there and they are able to produce it at a rate that is much cheaper than Eskom, they will. That's what this entity is going to do. Their interest is to provide energy to South Africa at a rate that is affordable. You see, already, how many tariffs have we had? The increases that we've been having, the pain that is driving the people of South Africa. So what that does, structurally, it's a difficult thing for us, but it means that we need to, as Eskom, look at our cost and make sure that we're competitive. Yes, this is terrible for Eskom, but it's making us to be better, to find ways to be efficient, So for us, we're excited about that. It's a challenge that is going to be a tough challenge, but it's a challenge that I know people of Eskom will be able to do, because these are very, very smart engineers that we have there and many other professions that we have. They will come up with ways and means to make sure that we are able to step up to this challenge. So it's then going to be making generation more efficient, this change. It then also frees up distribution to be able to participate in some of the generation that they can do at a local level, because you may be sitting somewhere in Guruman, somewhere in Tabase in the Eastern Cape, wanting to do something at a local level. The current setup does not allow them to do anything like that. But in the future, you can have microgrids being implemented at a local level to address a particular school, address a particular community, and that's a good thing for the country, So what is just happening, it's a great thing. It's going to make sure that we have enough energy security. One, it's also going to help us to have affordable energy, very important. And lastly, it's moving us towards having sustainable energy, meaning energy that does not drive too much of the carbon.
That's good news. And when should we expect this unbundling process to be completed?
It's to be completed. Okay, that's a different question. Okay, it has started. So we're starting with transmission. It's going to be operational 1st of July. Boom.
Okay.
Independent, running in their own building, doing their own thing, having their own logos and stuff like that. Then the next focus that we have over the next 2 years is distribution. Working the same process that we went through in the transmission company, getting the lenders' approvals, getting all of the licenses that NESA can provide to make sure that this entity, when it is on its own, is able to trade. Getting those approvals in place. Boom. 2020, in 2 years' time, we're done with that. Then the next one is generation. So that is, it's a long process, but it needs to be done carefully. Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to check with you, like how easy is it to maybe come from the private sector like yourself to go into the public sector like now? Is it easy?
Look, it depends what roles were you playing in the private sector. I must say that generally people think that going to the public sector is difficult. I think there's a huge amount of demand in the private sector. If you have gone through that and have been able to be successful in that environment, I think that the chances of you being successful in the public sector are much higher. But you need to pay attention to what I would call the soft side of the equation, meaning the way of doing things, the culture. The culture is completely different from the culture in the private sector. For example, in the private sector, this discussion that we're having around having incentives, performance incentive, is something that comes natural. You have to have incentives, otherwise. Here, incentives have been removed. So it's a completely different culture. It's a culture that we're saying, okay, you are not making profits, so we'll punish you. Whereas you said, okay, let's structure your incentive in such a way that they drive you to profitability. So then the trick is, how do you then take your knowledge from the private sector in a respectful way, be able to engage with the different stakeholders in public sector to help them understand the value of some of these things that you have. And the key word here is respect. And the key word is also listening, ability to listen. And other one is not to just going and pushing your agenda. It is really about helping people to understand. Once people understand, it's amazing the things that they can do for you, the kind of support, But if you're coming with an attitude, unfortunately, you are not going to go far. You are going to fail quickly.
And also, maybe, I know Eskom has got a lot of debt. How would the unbundling issue impact this debt?
Would you like to help us with some of this debt?
I think I'm helping somehow. I'm paying my bills.
That's good. That's good. So listen, you are right. We're probably sitting at about 400 billion rand of debt. And that's a huge amount of debt, right? But at the beginning of last year, the Parliament, they passed a bill called the Eskom Debt Relief Bill, which has enabled us to get the support from National Treasury. And that amount of money, it was not paid into Eskom in one go. It's paid over a 3-year period, right? And over that 3 years, it's being used to pay, some of it pay interest and some of it paying the capital. So our expectation is that at the end of the 3 years, we'll probably be sitting at about 200 billion rand of debt, which is a much better place compared to where we are, right? And the good thing is that at that time, Eskom is going to be profitable. Why? How are we going to get Eskom to be profitable? Look at this year. Okay, last year we spent 30 billion rand on diesel. And the amount of, if you look at the profitability, I cannot talk about the numbers yet, they're not yet released. But if you now reduce your usage of that diesel, all of that money goes to the bottom line, right? So that's very important. That's one thing. The next thing where you are going to be, because we're not going to be doing load shedding, our revenue is going to go up. Already the last 51 days, our revenue significantly up compared to the previous period last year because there was no load shedding. So your revenue is up. The third element that's going to be driving us to get to profitability is the interest charge. Because now our debt is small, the annual interest charge that we're paying is going to be lower. Our interest probably goes to about 30 billion rand. So just by reducing it maybe by a third, that goes a long way, right? So a combination of those three things the top line, the revenue is going to be going up. The amount of money that we're spending on diesel significantly lower, and our tax charge is lower. A combination of those is going to be taking us to profitability. So we are going to have an entity that is able to rely on itself, not relying on government. So how we have allocated this debt across these three entities, a significant part of it, 80 plus, goes to generation, because that's where most of the investment had gone, building of plants. Then another amount goes to, I think, about 10 or so, goes to maybe 12 or 13, goes to the transmission company, then the rest of the debt goes to distribution. So that's how we have allocated the debt across the three entities. So as we separate them, as we allow them to go and be independent, each one will go with their own debt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we appreciate, Mteto, what you are doing, especially us from the technology sector. We're happy that Eskom is in good hands with from someone who comes from our sector as well.
Yes.
Moving on from Eskom,
Yes.
you are also like an author.
Yes.
I've read your book, Betting on a Darkie.
Yes.
I've never had a chance to actually ask you, like, what inspired you to write that book?
Yeah. So Admire, let me just be open. I'm an introvert,
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not somebody who likes to have his name out there. Like, that's not me. If I can just not be noticed, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. So I did not write the book so that I can be out there. Really, it was because when you look at the level of engagement that I have via the LinkedIn platform, the number of people that engaging you, asking you to become a mentor here, coach me there, and you do that, then you realize that you just do not have enough capacity
Yes.
to touch all of these people, and they truly need help. So I just felt, okay, one of the ways that I can do to be able to address this need is to write a book where I'm open, brutally honest about the ups and downs, positive and negative, so that when somebody has gone through it, they can at least take one or two things that they can go and implement in their own lives.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was really what inspired me to write that book, to help me to be able to scale my limited capacity, because I just could not address the need that is out there. The other thing that for me, when I'm somebody that's driven by purpose.
Yes.
Yeah. And purpose, I know many of us, we think it's just one of those things. I pay attention to why was I born? That to me is very important. It's the questions that I've been asking myself, and I try to come to some kind of an answer with regards to that. And one of the answers, I know it's not perfect, but hey, I was trained by Microsoft.
Yeah.
At Microsoft, they say, at the time anyway, your product does not have to be perfect before you take it to market.
Yes.
It will mature whilst in the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've kind of used that. Say, I don't have to be perfect. If it is something's 80% there, take it out there. So my answer to this question, what is my purpose? I came to the conclusion that my purpose in this life is to awaken the giant in others.
Yes.
Awakening the giant in others. Many people, they do not know that they've got greatness within themselves. They can see greatness out there, other people, but they cannot connect with their own greatness. When in fact, all of us were designed to be successful in this life. We've been given all of the tools by connecting with who we are, we can really do well, and so my little contribution is wherever I am, I try to really help people to connect with that greatness that is within themselves. If you would see, go to Altron, go to MTN, go to, I don't go and fire people and then bring new people to come and turn around the business. It's largely still the same people that maybe a few years ago people declared them as mediocre.
Yeah.
Hey, this company is not doing well. The same people now start to becoming great and do great things, right? What has happened? What has happened is that these people started to believe in more and more in themselves and connect. You have created an environment where people can experiment, can take a risk, and they are protected, they are being supported, and you start to see people being able to reach beyond their reach, largely because of the environment that we have created. So the things that we're seeing in these environments is largely the same people that other people may have declared they are useless, And I truly believe that in life, people rise to the levels of our expectations of them. They rise to the levels of our expectations of them. If you expect people to be useless, I'm telling you, they are going to be useless. They are going to prove you right. If you expect them to be superstars, they are not going to disappoint you. They will rise up to that,
Exactly.
So the key is up to you. It's up to us as leaders, And I've seen it time and time and again how people are able to do great things. We are seeing it now in Eskom. The same people, people who thought they are doing great things. I've seen it everywhere, So the key is to really try and help people to connect with that greatness that is within themselves. Also by creating an environment that make them to want to do that. Recognize them when they are doing it. Shout, stand on rooftops and tell the whole world that these people are doing great things.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised how much more they can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And where did you just get the time, Mteto, to be writing it?
The time.
Yes.
For me, when I look at how I wrote that book, it's something that I'm very disciplined. Okay, let me start there.
Yeah.
I'm disciplined when it comes to, for example, I'm a morning person.
Okay.
So wake up 5:30, 5, Then I leave my house. Very likely it is my wife is still asleep at that time, If now I don't come back, let's say by 6 o'clock I'm not back home. I'm having some dinner with some customers somewhere.
Yeah.
Then I come back. When will I be with my family? So I long decided that I need to draw the line when it comes. I must be disciplined. So as much as I'm a morning person, but I need to be back home and having dinner with my family at 6 o'clock, for example. So then you create those structures within your life. So I decided I want to write a book, and I set Saturday. That Saturday, I think it was between 11 and 2.
Okay.
That was the time my family knew. That time is the time that I'm using. So for a whole year, on Saturdays, that's what I was doing, And so, so you make time. Don't get there. You don't find time from anywhere. You have to create the time, And when you have made the time, it shows, So there is always time.
And besides your work, what else do you do, like in your spare time? If you have spare time at all.
Oh, yes, I have spare time. I enjoy my time with my family.
Okay.
I do that. I used to play rugby. when I was growing up. But now rugby, as you know, is a team sport.
Yeah.
So I don't know who I'd find now at this age to go and play rugby with me.
Yes.
So I travel quite a bit, you know, and that's something that we as a family enjoyed. And at the time when we moved to Paris, I was on international assignment there with IBM for 4 years. And that time when our family was there in Paris for 4 years, we developed a habit or a tradition of just traveling, you know, using the time to go see places. And we have not stopped doing that. You know, we continue to do that, go and to places that we have not been and try and expand, you know, our worldview largely. So that's that. I play chess, you know. Again, I'm not a part of any club, so I've enrolled in digitally, you know, online. So I play with various people globally. So those are some of the things that I do. And
Thanks, Mteto. You've actually also inspired me on the writing part. I've been, you know, thinking like, when will I get time to also write like what you did? So you've given me an idea of my Saturdays, maybe. I also
find some, you make block of time there, and everybody around you must know that time is your time because you are trying to do X, and they will respect that, and you will be amazed the result that you're going to get. And your brain, by the way, already they know it's getting close to 11 o'clock on Saturday already, because you have trained it that way.
Right. Okay, thanks a lot, Mteto, for joining us on this episode of ITWeb TV. It was a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure, and we thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Admire. I wish you all the best. You continue to do great things for this industry. I particularly enjoyed the piece that you did around Hamilton. You know, your attribute, all of that. It says a lot about how you are paying attention to the people that are in this industry. So continue also to do the good work that you are doing.
Thank you so much, Mteto. It's pleasing to hear that from an industry titan like you.
Thank you.
For these and more episodes, visit www.itweb.co.za or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. This episode of ITWeb TV is brought to you in association with ITWeb Security Summit, the must-attend gathering of IT, security, and business decision makers. Visit itweb.co.za for more information.